Welcome to Lead Your Life, the podcast for people who are seeking harmony in business and in life. My name is Debbie Heiser, and I'm an inner mastery and business mindset coach and the chief igniter here at The Lit Up Life. I feel an urgency to help people let go of past messaging so that they can make a lot of money doing what they love without sacrificing what they value most. Welcome. We're glad you're here.
Straight from the corners of my mind is where I find my sanity. It's a place, another land.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Lead Your Life with Debbie Heiser. I am Debbie Heiser. I help entrepreneurs make a lot of money doing what they love without sacrificing what they value the most. And I am super excited today to have Miss Heidi Sawyer on. The last time it was Heidi and her husband, but this time I want to talk specifically about some really cool stuff that Heidi has been going through and some transformation and transition as well. And so I am a firm believer. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how I met Heidi, but then I'm going to have Heidi introduce herself because I think she'll do a much better job at that than I would. But Heidi and I met, gosh, honestly, I don't remember whether you came to one of Misty and I's conferences.
I came to one of your, I think it was Awaken the Best You, or one of the little mini retreats that you guys were doing.
Yeah. And that's how we met. And we've just kind of stayed in touch throughout, time. You guys came over and stayed in my Airbnb once, and, we had dinner together, and we've kind of, we don't necessarily speak all the time, but it's like we keep up with each other. And then when we do connect, it's like, okay, let's chat and like get down to business, right? Like, and I don't mean business as far as business, but like we go deep pretty quickly. And so I consider Heidi one of those people that I love to watch, and I get inspired by you. And so I'm really excited to have you here. So why don't you introduce yourself and how you show up in service to the world?
Yeah, thank you for having me. First of all, I'm so excited to be here, and it's always a pleasure. We have such great conversations. Like you said, I really value being able to go deep. What else is there to talk about besides the deep stuff? I mean, come on,
Right?
We've had enough small talk in our lives by this point.
So, yeah, and although I'm a Chiefs fan, I'm really tired of like all the Kelsey and Mahomes and Tiffany or Taylor Swift. So let's talk deep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I am here to help women unhide. Plain and simple, to help women step into the truth of who they're here to be. And that's been my journey, is just a moment by moment unhiding, stepping into that truth until there's nothing left to do but just surrender to that divine light that wants to radiate from within. And we get in our own way. Believe me, we get in our own way. We all know. Everybody listening knows. You know the ways you've gotten in your own way.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm here to do, is just to show women through my own example and through the work that I do in coaching and through my podcast, just to shine that mirror back on them and say, look at how magnificent you are. Yeah. Stop hiding it, because the world needs what you have.
Yeah. It reminds me, and I'm going to look away here for a minute, of this quote that I have by Marianne Williams that says, and as we let our light shine, we unconsciously give people permission to do the same. Right. And that's what I feel like you've really embodied. Mm-hmm. And so I want to back up for a minute, though, because like you said, we all kind of get in our own way. And so when you think about like go back, and I know we all run into this even today, right? Because as we continue to transcend and as we continue to move forward and transform, we sometimes will get in our own way. But tell us, what are some things that you look back on now where you bottlenecked yourself?
Yeah. So many of them now, looking back, I see how the dots connected, and I see that they were stepping stones. But at the time, I remember, one of the times that you and I got together feeling really stuck and thinking, maybe this coaching thing isn't for me. Yeah. Maybe I'm not cut out to speak in front of people. Maybe I'm not cut out to do this. Who am I? I think so many people deal with those imposter feelings of, who am I to do this? And the truth is, you got to give yourself permission. You've got to write yourself the permission slip to create something in the world that you wish existed. And so many times I have hidden behind my husband. He is magnificent in his own right.
Yeah.
And, I think that we do this as women, especially. It's like, well, but look at this person. Really, they're the one you should be paying attention to. I mean, running women's events back, years ago with Misty and other incredible women, but I hid behind them. And it's so clear as day to me now that I was hiding, but in small ways at the same time, I was stepping out within the capacity that I had at the time.
Yeah. And Heidi, that's really important because as you look back, let's talk about that, because I feel like everything's here and it's all here now, but sometimes we're not ready to see it or ready to move into that space. Was there a key moment or some pivotal moments for you that you're like, yeah, I can, wade out into the baby pool here and now I can dive in and do this? Were there some pivotal things that happened? And if so, what were those?
Yeah, I think back in 2018, I went to a women's event in Newport Beach, California. And that event really changed my life because what I got to see there is called the Bliss Project with Lori Harder. And
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
even think she does those events anymore, but it was incredible. I got to see 500 women in a room taking off the mask and saying, "This is me, scars and all. This is me. These are my limiting thoughts. This is this is my story. This is how I've showed up in life. But I want something better for myself." And it was really beautiful just to see that type of authentic connection. And so on the plane on the way home, I had a girlfriend with me and I said, we need to go back. We need to go back home and create these spaces for women to share, connect, and grow together because I want more of this in my life. Selfishly, I want more of this. I don't want to stop having this feeling of being able to truly see people and be seen. I think that's what we're all longing for, is that deeper connection. So back then, 2018, that's like what, 7 years ago, we started doing these women's events. The first one we thought, well, we'll do it in my friend's basement. Right. We'll do it there. And, we'll get some snacks and a few people will show up. Well, we had like 40 something women who wanted to come and we had to quickly change the venue. The next event, we had 60 people come. It went on for I think it was about a year and a half that we did those. And it was really, really fun. But I found that when the friend that I initially started with decided that she didn't have space for that anymore, I brought in other women because I just wasn't secure with standing on my own 2 feet as the leader of the group. And I see that looking back now, I can see that that was beneficial to my growth because we do have to recognize where we are and take those baby steps. And that did get me out in front of people. It got me coaching clients. So I had experience with coaching and that built my confidence. And then I came to a later period where my husband was really coming into his own as a coach and he wrote his book. And it was all about promoting that and promoting what he was doing. And I, again, found myself kind of shrinking back and really wanting to be a support for him. And I think that's about the time, that was in 2019 when we had our little, I don't know, retreat together. And I remember you and Misty, another friend of ours, you're like, well, what about you? Well, what are you doing? It's like, well, I don't know. I haven't quite figured that out. And so some time went on and it's really beautiful when you look back and you see how things connect up, right? We can't connect the dots any other way than looking backwards.
Yeah.
And we've created together this incredible program, a signature program. We have other coaches coaching this work on, within our company. And now I'm stepping out and creating my own brand again with a new podcast. And it's just really neat because I don't think I would have gotten on board with coaching a program that we created together in that way. I would have still kept trying to coach my own material, trying to be separate, trying to be different. And what I realized is that we have so much strength together, but we also have incredible magnificence as individuals.
Yeah. And Heidi, what a great space to get into, because I want to back up too, because a lot of times I hear judgment from people when they're like, I was supporting my partner or my spouse doing their thing. And I think when I look back, Ryan probably wouldn't be where he is. And together, you guys wouldn't be where you're at today had you not chosen to do that, right?
Right.
So even if you weren't quite ready and, maybe hiding behind that a little bit, like I look at the law of gestation and like there was a season for that. And so I always like to caution women too, and I'm not saying you were doing this, but like caution women that when you are supporting someone else, when you first realize that you want to soar too, that's when you start to make the steps to do that. But you can do both at the same time. And that's part
Yeah.
of what I'm hearing you say is like you're shining, he's shining, but you still have this interconnectivity that you're doing something together too.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
so many times we get in the or versus and.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a yes and now we're supporting other coaches within our team as well. So it's every day I'm waking up, how can I support my clients? How can I support the team?
Yeah.
Who can I show up for today and take care of myself first? Because that's what we've got to do.
Yeah.
But really, Ryan and I recorded like probably 70 podcast episodes together, and we had a blast doing it. And then we just have different vision for where we're going with our podcasts right now, and we're having fun doing that creatively, but it's always an evolution and nothing. I think it's important for people to hear listening, just because you decide to do something today doesn't mean that you can't reinvent it, burn the whole thing down and start over with something else. I've done that so many times, and that's why my podcast is called She's Reinvented.
Yeah. Yeah.
Keep reinventing, keep evolving, keep growing. There's no there. We've got to just continue to reinvent and figure out what excites you today, because that's going to be different than yesterday.
Absolutely. Because we're different people. As you say, we reinvent. So say the name of the podcast again, and then we're going to take a slight break and come back and talk more about some of the transitions and some of the work you've been doing to transform yourself. So what was the name of it again?
It's called She's Reinvented. And I share stories of how women have reinvented their life from a pivotal moment and where they are now, the steps they had to take to grow and get through what they had to get through to transcend that, and how they've reemerged as something even more incredible.
Awesome. We'll be right back. Let's face it, sometimes as an entrepreneur and a business leader, we need some guidance, support, and community. So we here at The Lit Up Life have 3 ways that you can work with us in order to achieve that. As a private client, we work together to quantum leap your business by discovering strategies to help you move past what's holding you back and allow you to identify what you want your life to look like. The result? Your business becomes the conduit to the lifestyle, success, and impact that you intend. Now, I'm a huge believer in the power of collaboration. So in our community masterminds, you can join in with other high vibrational business owners who want to level up, increase impact, and financial gain, all with a tribe of other women to support and encourage you on your journey. Currently, we're accepting application for this women's mastermind group, which is a year-long program for women in business who are ready for that next level of success. We create deep personal awareness in a safe and supportive space where you can experience growth with others who are on that same path. Through weekly sessions with our program coaches, teachings that go beyond the buzzwords, and immersive retreats in places like Mexico, the Dominican Republic, or Belize, we work together to create long-term abundance and lasting impact in your life and business. The last and final way to get involved with us is our group coaching programs. They provide the opportunity for teaching, masterminding, and feeling like you aren't alone on this ride. Come join us. Okay, we're back. And Heidi, we were talking about before the quick little break here about taking those moments of, I call them growth edges, but those moments of when you're stepping into something different, this transition, this kind of reinvention of who you are. And so tell us about some things, part of it being your explant, part of it being things that, like, I've even seen you watching you on social, like even redefine how you're showing up. Like, this is just my observation, how you're showing up as a wife and a mother and like as a unit, as a family. There's a whole lot of things that have happened there. So I'm just going to tee that up and let you, like, I might jump in every once in a while, but like, tell us like how this transition and this reinvention for you, like what spurred that? And like, what all have you been like doing to find, you talked about stepping out from behind the mask, right? Like to be there and the
Yeah.
courage.
Yeah. I think first we have to really define for ourselves what it is that the highest impact version of us looks like.
Mhm.
And that's going to change. That's going to evolve. That's going to grow as we grow. So for me, it's always about tapping into what does that high impact version of me look like? Where do I see her? And then what's the next worthy challenge that I can set that's going to challenge me physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, or all of the above?
Yeah.
So
It
this
usually
past,
is, right? Yeah.
yeah. So this past year, my worthy challenge was, as I looked at who I'm becoming and how I see myself and the self-concept that I'm creating, I had to also look at all the ways that I was showing up that were not the truth of me. Things that were done out of, trying to be accepted, wanting to fit in, all of the things that we do throughout our life because we have a sense of worthiness that's wrapped up in out there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So the more we begin to source that from within ourselves, the more we start to look at the ways that we have created a persona that's not that.
Yeah.
And so for me, I actually had kind of a chance encounter with a friend at a coffee shop. And in the, hey, how are you doing? What's new in your life conversation, she mentioned to me that she had had explant surgery. And so for those listening who don't know what that is, that's the removal of breast implants. And she said, I'm feeling great. She said she did have breast implant illness. And that's a set of, over 100 symptoms that are varying depending on the person. So if that's something that people listening are curious about, I would urge you to do your own research. She kind of gave me that warning. She said, yeah, you can look into it. And I just want to forewarn you, you can't unsee what you're going to see.
Yeah.
So you make your choice. And actually another friend was in the conversation with us and she also had implants. And she said, I'm not ready. I don't want to know that information because I know I'm not ready for that. Something inside of me said, you're ready for this. And I had had my breast implants for 17 years.
And you listened. That's the key point,
Yes.
right? Like listening
Yes.
and trusting your gut instinct that says, and your friend that said, I'm not ready for that, right? Like trusting that instinct in her, but also trusting the voice that you were hearing to say, I'm curious about this. I'm ready for this. I want to check out what's happening.
Yeah. And actually, the thing, Debbie, that made me the most curious was she said this was a mental and emotional journey. And that was the thing that I keyed into because I didn't have any symptoms of breast implant illness. I didn't have any problems that I knew of. And so it's been in the back of my mind for many years, knowing that these are not lifetime devices and wanting to do something about it. But it's like easy to put those types of things off.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
okay, well, we'll deal with that later. There's
Yeah.
too many other things going on. But when she said this was a mental and emotional transformation and that she had growth within it, that was what keyed in for me. And I thought, there's something here for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I ended up calling my mom. I think it was a little while after, because you know how we do, we got to call our mom. And I said, hey, because my mom had had breast implants for 37 years.
Okay.
And I said, hey, I just wanted to tell you about conversation I just had. A friend of mine has had explant surgery, and this is something I'm thinking about. I'm really seriously considering doing this. And I said, I haven't looked up the information. I'm just telling you there's some information out there. Of course, she gets on the computer, starts researching, finds out that her implants were recalled in 2019 for a very serious reason because of anaplastic large cell lymphoma, which is associated with textured breast implants.
Right. Wow.
So she had no idea. And she said, okay, I'm in. And I think I need to go first. And I said, okay, and I knew that there was so much healing in it for her too.
Right.
And it's really powerful because when we think about generational healing,
absolutely,
and what was a very powerful experience for me was having the conversation with my kids and saying, you know what, mom, and since then I've had conversations with a lot of other women who have reached out on social media and have said, hey, I have a 10-year-old daughter. How should I talk to her about this? What did you do? What
Yeah.
did you say? And what I said to them was that a long time ago, mom wasn't very confident in herself. And I looked around and I saw what my friends were doing and what the world was telling me that I needed to look like.
Yeah.
And I believed that. And I thought that it would make me happy. And I thought that it would make me confident. And it worked for a little while. It gave me a little boost of confidence.
Yeah.
But then as I grew older and wiser, I noticed that what it was an outside projection of what everyone else was, wanting from me, as opposed to being true to myself. And so what I told them was just that confidence has to come from inside. And so this isn't something that's good for mom's health. And I need to put myself first and take care of this. And my son says, Mom, I'm so proud of you.
Oh.
And my daughter says a few weeks later, Mom, I'm never getting boobs. And I said, sweetheart, eventually you will get them. And she said, I know, but I'm not going to go and get them. And I said, I support you in your decision.
Yeah. Oh, Heidi, what a fantastic conversation. And so many times I see people treat kids, no matter what age, right? Like about the age of yours, because they would have been what, like 7 and 12, 8 and
9 and 11.
9
Yeah.
and 11. I was close,
Mhm.
but and we think they can't handle
Mhm.
true conversations, and that's the furthest thing from the truth,
Yeah.
And yeah, hats off to you, because that takes bravery, also to have those conversations. And what a great role model. And oh, I'm proud of you. And then what I hear your daughter saying is, I want to be like you, right?
Yeah. She's like, my mom accepts her body. She loves herself the way she is. And I want to be like that. And
Yeah.
that was important to me, to set that example for her, to show her that we can make mistakes.
Yeah.
We can change our mind, and that's okay. And we can forgive ourselves. And that was a big part of my journey through Xplant as well, was to forgive that 22-year-old Heidi that thought that she needed to change herself to be okay.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Because we're really hard on ourselves. And I want to back up too, because what a great, like, I'm putting words in your mouth, so correct me if I'm wrong, but to me, like, what an intimate experience to also go through that with your mom,
Yeah, it was.
right? And I would imagine that it brings that bond even closer than it was. I mean, because you obviously have a close relationship, or you wouldn't have called her to tell her this, right? So like I'm making assumptions, but just I think it's so cool, because to your point, this whole, like, this is 3 generations that immediately is impacted.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
And
I
really
think
4 generations, Heidi, because when your kids, if they choose to have children, like, these are moments they remember and will carry that forward, right?
yeah. And I like what you said about, let's talk to kids at the level that they do understand. But, every kid knows what it means to want to fit in.
Yeah.
Every kid knows what it feels like to not feel good enough. Let's face it, those feelings started for all of us long before we were really aware of what was going on. So
Absolutely.
they know, they understand those things. And I think it's so important to, more than just to tell our kids things, but to actually model what it looks like to be on a growth journey, to make mistakes, to have ruptures in relationships, and to repair those. And, one of the things that we say a lot in our family is, don't tell them, show them.
Yeah, that's great.
And we live by that too. It's like, you say this is who you want to be. Don't tell me, show me, do
Yeah.
it. And it's really kind of a calling out, but it has a lot to do with modeling. And we're not perfect, and we model that.
Yeah.
We're not perfect. We make mistakes, but we take the steps to take authentic action and repair those.
Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic. And Heidi, where would you say you're, like, when you look at how that has impacted, like, who you are on the inside, I call that our being, right? How has that impacted what you're doing?
Oh, So much.
Yeah.
Yeah, so much because I think as we, we peel back the layers of this onion,
Yeah.
we peel back another layer and we find that there's more.
Mhm.
It's easier for the light to shine through. There's less. There's more within and there's less covering it up, I guess I should say.
Yeah.
Like we transcend a lot of that. And I think that's impacted the work that I'm doing with women because I'm able to really get to a raw place with them
Yeah.
and truly see them, but also allow them to see me. And there's something really magical when that happens, when that connection happens on that soul level. And a lot of the work that I'm doing right now is in groups. And so being able to break those walls down and use specific tools to get women to really take the mask off and show.
Yeah.
And for other people to reflect that beauty back to them and for them to go, okay, this is the human experience.
Yeah.
I can be here for it, the good, the bad, and the ugly. I can recognize that as I continue to evolve and grow, that sometimes I may create my own resistance.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah. Well, and it sounds like to me too, this group situations that you have too. I was just talking to one of my mastermind sisters. We're meeting in Florida. I leave Saturday, and we were talking about how this is one of the few places where we feel like we can put our hair down and be like 100% ourselves, that we're not, I'm wearing the hat of a mother, or I'm wearing a hat of this or a hat of that, but like all of it can be on display. And it sounds like that's where, like what you're creating in these group situations where people have this sense of relief because other people see them and there's not judgment that comes with that.
Yeah.
It's almost like walking in and other people are like, we're right where you're at, right? And admitting that, I think about AA, right? Like that's a big piece, admitting that we don't have all of our shit together, right? Excuse my language, but
Yeah.
we can also be put together and a complete mess all at the same time. And it's like we're showing up so that we can support each other. And someone said an analogy to me the other day about a kite, and how having people that have an unending spool of kite string, right, that allows you to soar, but also keeps you connected. And that's what I hear you doing in these groups.
Yeah. And just constantly bringing it back to the truth, right? The truth that we all have gifts, we all have something to share, we all have, of course, hangups and things that we need to work through and process through. But beyond that, it's really about just being able to show people this is the human experience, and emotions happen, and how can we transmute those and start living in the vibration that we want to live from. Because I'll tell you a little story. I actually got a traffic ticket this morning, and, and I thought, oh, this is just great. I've got all this stuff going on today, and this, it's just the total self-talk that goes on when you do something really stupid, like not stop completely at a stop sign.
My best friend says stop stands for slight tap on pedal. I'm like, yeah, we'll tell the officer that.
Yeah, I could have used that one. Yeah. But of course, what I did this morning is I set the intention, and my affirmation was, I have come here to be magnificent.
Yeah.
So because I have unconscious levels to my self-concept, we all do, that I'm still processing through.
Yeah.
I created some resistance for myself. And the really funny thing is, I just had a conversation this morning with my husband about transmuting emotions and how good I'm getting at transmuting emotions, and how good I'm getting at transitioning from something to to back into the vibration that I want to be at, and creating this energetic address within myself of where I want to live, and continuously bringing myself back to it.
Yeah.
And so of course that happened. And my daughter says, Mom, are you mad at the officer? I said, no, I'm not, because I created this.
Right.
There's no one to blame besides me. He's just doing his job.
Yeah.
So now my job is to not let this create a bad mood that creates a bad day, that creates a bad week, that creates a bad decade. Okay. Yeah. That's it.
Yeah.
So now it's time to get back to homeostasis. It's time to get back to center. It's time to find the energetic address of where I want to live from
Yeah.
and return to that. So when we look at life as our training ground, then we see every obstacle, every piece of resistance that shows up in our path as an opportunity to transcend it, as an opportunity to realign with where we want to be energetically. Because, $145 ticket, yeah, that stinks. Who wants to throw money out the window? No one. But what's expensive is staying in that low vibe. What's
Absolutely.
expensive is allowing yourself to be affected by that, because you are beating yourself up about something that has already happened.
Yeah. And Heidi, when you say that, like I have this hit where it's really not throwing money out the door, but it's really an investment, because you just invested $145 to realize how much faster you can shift yourself back into the verbiage you use, the transcendental like vibration that you want to be in. Like to me, I look at that and go, oh, what a great investment.
Yeah. Isn't that the divine saying, yeah, put your money where your mouth is?
Right.
Okay. You're going to create your own resistance today. And then let's see how you do it. Show me. Don't tell me.
Like,
show me.
You got a good sense of humor, universe.
Yeah. It's exactly what we say to our kid. Don't tell me, show me.
Yeah.
Show
Absolutely.
me. Show me how you can transmute that emotion.
Yeah. So give us a tip. What did you do in the moment? Because I know it's been a while, knock on wood, since I've had a ticket. And when I do get a ticket, I usually am irritated with myself for having done
which is the worst, right? Nobody wants to be mad at themselves. It's the worst.
Right. And so like in that moment that you're like, oh yeah, slight tap on pedal does not mean stop. Like, what did you do to help? You've had, and you're still processing, you said, but like, give us a couple of like tips other than making the decision that you're going to like step back and look at it. What are some tips that people can take away from this?
Yeah. So the first one, I'm always going to go to the breath.
Yeah.
We have to regulate our nervous system. I have to get access to the control tower, to the prefrontal cortex. If I'm in my limbic brain and I'm having a limbic flare up because there's this signal happening saying, danger, you messed up, there's a problem here, I need to be able to regulate my nervous system, bring myself down in that moment through just some deep breathing. Tactical breathing is great, just equal parts, right? 5-second inhale, 5-second exhale. You can lengthen the exhale to really get more into that parasympathetic. So using breathing first, because we've got to access the higher thinking part of our brain.
Right. That's a great one.
Then I go to my two favorite tools. The first one is compassion. Yeah, you did that. That's okay. It's okay to make mistakes. You're human. Yeah, it's okay. And when we're practicing compassion, we want to acknowledge that mistakes or whatever's happening is part of the human experience, right? We want to allow ourselves that space to feel what's coming up in our body.
Yeah.
And then sometimes it helps to think of someone that loves you, someone that cares about you. What would someone who cares about me say to me about this?
Yeah, that's good.
Right? It's okay.
Yeah.
You're okay.
Yeah.
Right? Sometimes it takes reminding ourselves in that nervous system step, in the breath, I am safe.
Yeah.
Right? All is well.
So critical. Yeah.
Yeah. So I regulate the nervous system. I go to compassion. And then the next tool that I love is curiosity. So I go to curiosity. What is the lesson here?
Yeah.
What is the gift? I'm always looking for the gift.
Yeah.
Because when you look for the gift, guess what? You find it. When you look for the negative, guess what? You find it.
And it automatically raises your vibration.
Yeah.
Right? Because what we focus on gets bigger.
So then I thought, okay, curiosity. What's this here to teach me? And then I go to another one, which is humor.
Yeah.
Isn't it interesting that I set the intention to be magnificent today? Okay. Here's your chance.
Yeah.
Here's your chance.
Yeah.
Put your money where your mouth is. Literally. Here you go. Here's a ticket. You can pay for your lesson, and then learn from it.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. So Heidi, I think we could probably go on and on. We might have to do another one and have a part two later in the year. But I want to ask just a couple of quick questions, and I set you up for this already. But if we were to go out and look at the most played song on your playlist, what would it be?
Okay, Everything Greatest Showman. This is me.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? That's like the theme song for the work that I do. I've learned to be ashamed of who I am.
Yeah.
No, Unhide. The other one right now, because my daughter uses my Spotify, is probably something Miley Cyrus, like Flowers, or one of the old Hannah Montana songs, because she discovered Hannah Montana. So that's fun.
Awesome. I love that. I love that. And then what's the best book you read in 2023?
Honestly, I didn't read a lot of books in 2023. I mostly studied our work.
Yeah.
Actually, I will tell you the best book I read. It's the one that my son wrote.
What did he write?
He wrote a book. It's not out yet. It will be out soon. We've ordered the proof for it. And actually, the foreword to it is written by New York Times bestselling author Mark Devine. So spoiler alert there, but it's called We Can Do Hard Things. And it's about his experience at 9 years old, being the youngest kid to ever go train with former Navy SEALs down in Carlsbad, California, and how he had to overcome his fears, how he had to step into training and committing to his worthy challenge. We talked about worthy challenges already, and what changed for him, what he learned through that. And it's a really powerful, very cute little book with some reader questions in the back. It's for kids. And so that's the best book that I read this year by far.
That's awesome. And so everybody keep an eye out for that coming in 2024. And how cool, because seeing the changes and the transformation that you have gone through and Ryan has gone through over the last 5 to 10 years, really 5 to 8 years ish, like seeing that transformation and now how that's carrying over in your kids. I always tell people, you know, if you like, kids are such a mirror. And so if you want to, when you transform and you change your behavior, it does impact those around you, whether they're 9 or whether they're 31, and you see it happen. And what a great, that just warms my heart. That's fantastic. And super excited to see that. So let me know when it comes out, because I'd love to order one.
I will.
And with that, I want to open it up. If you have any additional like nuggets that you wanted to throw out, and then share with people, if they want to learn more about what you're doing, where would they go? We've got the podcast, but where would they go? And then it'll also be in the show notes.
Yeah. So just on Instagram is a great place to connect with me. My handle is very intentional. It's real Heidi Sawyer.
Oh, I love it.
So that's what I'm about. And my podcast is She's Reinvented. And those are the best places to track me down and have a conversation, and let's get real. Let's get deep. Let's have a real heart to heart.
Yeah.
That's what I'm here for. Those are the conversations I want to have.
Yeah. Fantastic. Well, Heidi, thank you so much for this heart to heart conversation. And with that, folks, it's a wrap. Have a fantastic week, and we'll see you next week. That's a wrap for this conversation. I'm so glad you've joined us. Remember to subscribe to the podcast so you can catch all of our future episodes, and visit us at thelituplife.com for details on how you can become part of the Lit Up Life community. A quick shout out to my friend Jackie Wilson and her friends, the creators of our amazing theme music. Thanks so much for allowing us to share this perfect song with our listeners. Looking forward to having you listen in to our next episode.
See the colors of the rain. You can find your own kind of